What's up, everybody? Welcome. Make sure you let me know if you can hear me. To Kettle Farms Live, Sunday Night Live. I see already we've got Mama Z in here. She's always like in here first, except when she's not. And then Papa Z. Patty from the Tinker's Wife is in here. Stringfield Ridge Farm is in here. Awesome, awesome. Some of my favorite people. Welcome, welcome. We have been, I feel like we've been busy this weekend, but not as busy as we could have been. Yes, you can hear us. Awesome. So, yeah, we tried to be more busier than we were this weekend, but like Donald started digging some post holes we bought some new sheep gates for where we're going to put sheep gates. And he's trying to post hole dig, but you're running into a lot of rocks, right?
There's so many dang rocks.
He's not used to that. I don't think Texas has the rocks that we do up here in Pennsylvania.
No, by far. I mean, I'm used to, I need to dig a hole. Okay, let's dig a hole.
Yeah.
Not, I need to dig a hole. How big? How deep? Okay, well, we get used to having a wheelbarrow of rocks that you got to pry out with crowbars.
Yeah. We have a lot of rocks here. And so he did not make as much progress today from cussing at rocks. But we did manage to get like a load of hay. And what did we do yesterday? I don't even remember. I think you started the digging the holes. I mostly did computer work this weekend. I had a lot of computer work I had to get done. But it is Sunday night, about ready to start another week. So we wanted to hang out with you guys for a bit. We're going to talk about recycling, some of the harder stuff. It's not necessarily a homesteading topic, but I feel like as homesteaders, we have a deeper relationship with the land that we're on. And it makes sense that even if we're not really considered like hippies, some of us are or whatever, but we have a concern for the land that we are growing our food in, the animals that we are hunting, that they are healthy and that they are available.
Well, it's like that. What's that phrase that you're talking about? The reuse, recycle.
Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. Yeah, that's a popular one. But it's not even just that. Like when you think of hunters, typically they are categorized as a more conservative demographic, or gun owners, a more conservative demographic. Nothing wrong with that. We're gun owners, we're hunters. That said, they also classify people that are more eco-conscious as more left, less conservative, more liberal. Not talking politics, by the way. Like, don't care about politics. That said, both teams have concerns for the environment. Hunters want to have healthy deer to hunt. And homesteaders and farmers want to have healthy land that's not poisoned or whatever to farm on. So I feel like that's a good place people can come together to do more eco-friendly things. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to talk about recycling, because as homesteaders, we reuse as much as possible to save money. Absolutely. But there's certain things you can't really reuse. So what do you do with them that you're not just like,
throwing them in landfills?
Throwing them in landfills, or like my grandfather, I don't think they ever had trash service. It was always a big burn pile or a big mound that you would bury stuff in, like a horse, dead horse. I don't know. And what's funny, I don't know if you guys were ever like this. I always played in the trash piles. Like they would throw a mattress on there. I remember this one time as a kid. My grandfather threw a mattress on not the burn. Well, I guess it was kind of the burn pile because they were right next to each other, and the dirt mound. And so what we did is we drag it over to the side, and we'd use it for a wrestling mat on a dirty mattress in an area that was probably full of all kinds of trash, cans, nails, metal. What? Did you not? If you had a mattress, would you not like play and jump on it and stuff?
Well, yeah, but like I call that a bed.
This was outside in a field, a pasture.
In a burn pile.
Yeah, we just pulled it out so we could play on it.
No.
Well, you
Of
were.
course, I didn't play in manure spreaders either.
I did play in manure spreaders.
Yeah.
Did you guys play in anything gross as a kid? Because I played in a manure spreader. We would climb in it to hide and play hide and seek, and it was just full with dried manure.
I would say, I'm assuming without fresh manure in it.
Usually it was dried. But it's not like he rinsed it out after every spread. He just let it dry, so we would just play in it. There's probably times where I touched it when it was wet, but I don't recall that. I remember it being dry and brittle. I can't be the only like farmer's daughter that did that kind of weird stuff, right? Now, you had to play in weird stuff, right? Did you play in anything gross? Let's put it that way. Did you play in anything gross?
Not that I recall.
Well, I'm sure you did. Anyway, so that's kind of what brought up the topic. I'm like, all right, so we, as homesteaders, we like the land. We like a healthy land. We like healthy crops. So let's talk about some recycling. Reuse as much as you can, but at the same time, if you can't, where do you recycle it? And we're basically going to discuss like what to recycle, why it's hard to recycle, and then where you can recycle it and what they usually turn it into, which is kind of neat to learn what they use some of these things to turn them into. Mousy says we would pull the high jump mats so we could jump off the top of the bleachers. Played a month for crawdads, yeah. I remember walking through streams barefoot to see the crawdads swim up, and then you'd scoop them up. I actually never ate crawdads, though, or crayfish, or whatever you want to call them.
It's two. I think they're two different things. Like crawdads, I think, are a subspecies of crayfish.
Well, I'm not going to take your word for it.
Because they don't get as big.
Because I know you like to BS sometimes.
Sometimes.
So
we would sell them when I was younger. We would catch crawdads and then sell them.
Yeah, that's why we would catch them. Because we didn't eat them. We would just fish with them. Hey, Unpaved Explorer, welcome, welcome. We're talking about recycling a little bit. And some childhood memories about some of the gross stuff we used to do as kids. But yeah, we used to dig up worms, and then we would catch crawdads. And then honestly, one of the best things that I used for fishing, and it was ironically to catch catfish, was dog food. I put dog food on a hook, and catfish love dog food.
Well, I mean, that makes sense because you do have, what was that? There's a place in Arkansas called Magic Springs that has a catfish, a big old pond. Mm-hmm. And they have those candy dispensers where you put the quarter in, turn it. Mm-hmm. They have those full of dog food.
Makes sense.
And you can get the quarter, throw the food out, and they would just go crazy on it.
Makes sense. So we'll go ahead and get into some of this. Unpaved says, I watched your chocolate bomb videos. Those look delicious. They were pretty good. I prefer more chocolate, but I have a sweet tooth, so.
I prefer hot milk.
Are you giving me guff? I don't know if you looked at some of the comments on those videos, but people were not happy with how I did it, which just got me more and more comments. I'm fine with it. I even poked back at some of the people, but yeah, they were not happy with how I did that. And that's totally fine. I did it multiple ways. I did 3 videos, so there you go. Anyway, hey, never enough time. Welcome, welcome. So the big 5 of what we all know how to recycle in general is obviously glass bottles, plastic bottles, paper. Although I say we don't really recycle paper here unless it's like magazine, the glossy paper, because we have a wood stove, and a lot of people, don't they use it in garden beds?
Yes.
So
non-glossy. The
non-glossy in garden beds. So I feel like paper recycling is not an issue for most gardeners or homesteaders or farmers. We're most of us have either wood stoves or we use it in the garden or whatever.
Yeah, if you have newspaper, cardboard without the plastic pieces on it, and then like notebook paper, You could, the first two you could put on your garden, weed barriers. You can kill the weed grass seeds, but you can also, when you cover it, wet it, fill, and put mulch over it, you're also adding more carbon or adding organic matter.
Mm-hmm.
The paper, the notebook paper is best if you shred it and then put it under something like a tarp, or you can probably put it under the cardboard. It'll help. It'll give more organic matter and stuff.
That's good to know. Hey, Crazy Shepherd, welcome, welcome.
But you want to shred that because it'll help it break down easier.
Yeah. And I remember there was like an old wives' tale, and I don't know if it's still accurate, where if you used newspaper to clean your windows with the Windex or whatever spray, that it was better because it was less streaking and the ink helped with it or something. I don't know. I feel like Stringfield would know.
Well, I don't know if that was for the ink being used at the time, because I think now it's a different ink.
Could be.
Which is why you can...
Well, Stringfield works for newspaper too. Stringfield, you must know. You must know. So the top 5 recyclable materials, the number 1 and number 2 plastic. Let's be specific. Number 1, number 2 plastic, glass, paper, aluminum cans, and then steel cans. But we're going to talk about other things that are harder to recycle, how to recycle, why it's hard to recycle, and then what it's usually turned into. Crazy Shepherd says, our German Shepherd cut all our grass, so we had to put gravel in the front yard because of the mud. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Is it for peeing?
Well, it could be peeing, and like how Court digs up over by the ramp over there because he's just running.
That's true.
Yeah, we had that issue with our pit bull when he does just a lot of running in the same spot. But Tinker's wife says they used to have poisons in news printing inks. Now they are safer inks, so no issue using. Okay. Stringfield says they use a lot on their farm, but they recycle at work also. Yeah, their German Shepherd runs around like ours does. Our pit bull does. Yeah, there's really not much you can do about that. I was trying to think, like, even there's really nothing that we can do about it because no matter what you put there, they're just going to dig it up.
Well,
if it's a high traffic area like that.
Honestly, if you want to fix it other than gravel, wood chips or hay. Wood chips probably better because it's harder to move.
But it would be like constant supply just to help
you would constantly have
keep the soil.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that it was some kind of soy ink.
Unpaved Explorer says when they were a kid, they gathered aluminum cans and soda pops for money and made around $10 a week. Oh, wow. Yeah, I feel like I never did that, but I also lived like way out in the country. Like we didn't have a neighborhood really. So it was kind of like, what am I going to do with it? Well, and we didn't really we weren't given a lot of cans either.
I'll also say with the city recycling, but also they don't pay as much as they used to.
Do they not? Is it not like 10 cents a can or something?
No.
I have no idea.
They go by pounds now. And it's very cheap.
Crazy Shepherd said someone was going to charge them $3,000 to put gravel in our front yard. Yeah, we had millings put in our driveway, and they wanted to charge us, $10,000 for that? Mm-hmm. We have a small driveway. It's not that big.
Or 6.
Might have been 6 as the discount.
Yeah.
So the first item on the list, and I actually have graphics for these just to go over them, is, where's my graphic for this one? I think it's this one. No, that's the curtains, right? No, that's the wrong one. That's the one I wasn't gonna do. But we'll do curtains first. I think I might have missed one. So curtains, the polyvinyl chloride plastic, basically PVC. I actually don't use PVC curtains anymore. I haven't for years because I hate that smell. When you guys put in a fresh curtain, I can't stand that smell at all. We've been using cloth curtains for a long time, but it has a melting point between, I don't know what this is called, PET and HDPE. I don't know what that means. I don't know what those things are. I'm just kind of reading that part. But let let's see. Usually you can take these to, there used to be a place at Whole Foods that would take these and recycle them. I don't know whether they have that anymore, but there's a website out there that I'm going to link you guys called earth911.com. I'm going to link it in here. And they have a lot, I'm going to reference this site a lot, but they have a lot of different ideas on where to recycle some of these products, like your old PVC curtains. What?
Real quick, sorry. I got to interject before you keep talking. Those are compounds, chemical compounds.
Oh, okay. It's good to know. And then what they do with them is they turn them into basically vinyl flooring, siding, and piping. Piping probably being the most popular. And I think that one's, I don't know that PVC piping is ever really going to go away. I don't know that I'd want to use that in vinyl flooring or siding on my house, but I guess.
I'll tell you right now, PVC piping ain't going away.
Yeah, PVC piping's not going away. But I feel like, I don't know, I would just don't want it in my house. It stinks.
I can tell you this, it's massive in wastewater.
Yeah.
Duct iron and PVC piping are massively used in wastewater. Well,
that is
Schedule 80 PVC piping.
Something that you would be familiar with. So that's one. I like that they're trying to find ways to use it, and I would prefer them using it for stuff that's outdoors because again, I think the stuff stinks. I hate those new shower curtains. I think they stink. So the other one that I was going to talk about first was polypropylene plastic. That's the number 5 plastic. And that's like your yogurt cups and stuff like that. They used to not be able to recycle this, but they did recently come out with more ways to recycle it. And let's see. I don't know if you have to have like a certain, I don't think you can put it in your recycle bin with your trash company. I don't think they take number 5 plastic.
I was going to ask that.
But you could probably call and find out. But I was looking at the Recycling Partnership, which I'll link that one. They have actually a coalition, and they probably have details on how to recycle it. But if you do have like things in number 5 plastic, like bottle caps, lidded containers, or yogurt cups, you probably can send them off or drop them off somewhere. I'm just not sure where, because the place that you used to be able to do it is no longer there.
When you say yogurt cups, do you mean the container or lids?
It says yogurt cups,
okay. So
I'm assuming it's like the little ones with the foil lids,
yeah.
Not the big ones that we get, which I think the big ones we get, the lid's probably the same material.
Yeah.
Like the 𝙎𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬 or the, I don't know what the other brand was we used to get.
Well, we get the Brown Cow now.
Oh, Brown Cow's so good. So that's the number 5 plastic that you would see here. And that's one that used to not be able to be recycled at all back in like 2012. But now it can. They've developed a way to recycle it. It's just, I think you have to do it separately from your thing. So that's the other question then. For me, as a homesteader, we've already got so much work to do on the homestead. Having to do an extra step to recycle something is kind of an issue. Like, I don't want to have a separate container to recycle some of these things. So in that case, what do you do? Like, I guess it's dependent on, how passionate are you really about recycling? We're pretty passionate. We're probably not as good as we want to be. Like, one of the things we do on our homestead is I haven't had paper towels for years. I don't buy paper towels. We just have old terry cloth, like dish rags and stuff that's what I use to clean up stuff. And then I wash it and then I reuse it. Like dog vomit this morning. My dog was vomiting in the bedroom and we just use an old towel. That's what they're there for. And I've had them for years until they're too holy. And even then I'll try to use them as much as possible. Let's see. Another one, let me pull up the graphic for this, is, do you guys know what these are? I haven't had any of these in a while. Juice boxes. Like juice boxes and like Terra packs and stuff. So they're made of mixed materials, usually like paper and plastic, and then aluminum linings. And that requires a little bit of effort to separate. I don't know if some of the newer ones do. They may have changed this at some point. Maybe there's some organic brands that don't use that kind of stuff, especially the aluminum. I don't know. But if you go to, it's a site called recyclecartons.com. I will link that one to you guys too. There you go. And what that site does, it'll tell you if your city accepts these into like a curbside pickup, if that's what you get. And what they do with that is they turn it into tissue and other paper products, which I think is kind of neat that they would do that. And actually, now that I'm talking about the number 5 plastic, they turn that into things like toothbrushes, razors, tableware, cutting boards, and other food storage containers. Like for me, I don't know if you guys ever like this, had a grandmother that always had country crock in the fridge, but it wasn't actually butter. It was like something else.
You never knew what it was?
Yeah, you'd pick up the country crock and it's like, oh, here's sewing stuff. Or here's...
Is this cream corn?
Is it cream corn? Is it soup? Or like lard? You think it was butter and you start putting it on something and it's like some kind of lard because you're a kid and you don't know any better. Does anybody else have that happen? I've had that happen.
So apparently that is not available in Gettysburg.
Yeah.
That carton recycling.
Well, that sucks. Well, we are a smaller town, so.
Now I'm wondering. So here's the thing. I'm wondering if this carton recycle, if they're saying they're not available in your area, or if it's.
Well, the link says find out if your community recycles cartons. So, but yeah, it does make you wonder, like, how do they know? Do they just know all the trash companies?
I would assume it's a certain number, either a certain number or them.
So that might be something worth asking your trash company too. Like, do you take the Tetra bags and juice boxes and things like that? Hey, Farmer Brad. Who says here the city recycled collection is strict. You get fined if you constantly don't follow guidance. You know, I've noticed lately our trash company's kind of a butthead. They didn't take any of our trash this week. And then one time they didn't take it because they said, well, now you have to have everything bagged up because of the virus. And then we called the township or the company and they're like, no, that's not true at all. So I'm like, and then they're like, well, you can't have more than one container. And I'm like, I don't know. They don't make any sense. But they didn't pick up anything this week, so I have to give them a call tomorrow. So moving on, this one everybody I know has dealt with at some point in time. Plastic bags, basically the low density polyethylene plastic. That obviously means shopping bags. And it has a melting point too low for some of the recycling plants. I guess it just melts too quickly.
Yeah, it melts way too before you even get the other ones heated up.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, for the longest time, these were my trash cans in the kitchen. Like before you got up here.
Oh no, it was still while I was here.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
So we would just have these hanging on the door and we would use these as our trash bags. But we don't use plastic bags when we go shopping anymore. We either bring our own reusable or right now when we do curbside, they're all paper, which I like because then I can burn the paper in the wood stove. I forgot to take my trash out on trash day. Yeah. Stringfield says, we don't have anything that recycles anything except in the larger town 30 minutes away. We can do the cans and the newspaper and the rest of it is reuse on purpose. Yeah, so that's the other issue that I think a lot of homesteaders have that are more rural. It's like, where do you go? Mm-hmm. You know, for some of this stuff. Like we don't even, where I grew up in Maryland, we had a dump that if you had a license that had an address in that county, you could go dump anything. It didn't matter. They don't even have a dump here in where we're at in Pennsylvania.
Landfill.
So, landfill. Well, we just call it a dump. You're a dump. So what they also use a lot of these things for is they'll make things like bike racks, eco-friendly types of lumber. They call it lumber, but it's just like a building material.
Yeah, it's a composite.
Yeah, and then they actually turn these shopping bags into reusable shopping bags. So technically they're being reused to be a reusable bag, but there you go. I wish paper bags were used at a grocery store, but the baggers would have to learn the art of bagging groceries. Yeah, I'm bad at bagging groceries because I'm very violent. I just throw stuff in the bag. You know, you used to do it like when you were a teenager, right? You were a bagger?
Yep.
So he does all the bagging when we used to go in the store because he does it way better than I do. So, but moving on, something that not a lot of people deal with well, I mean, I guess some people are, especially in the homesteading community, maybe, is CD cases and CDs. And what these are, they are considered a number 7 polystyrene, which has a high melting point. And the cases are a number 6 polycarbonate plastic, which is mixed with metal. And again, it's the same with the juice boxes. These are materials that need to be separated, which causes issues with being able to recycle because they can't do that. So what will happen is where it should go is that you can put certain places will take both. And then there was a site. I don't think it's up anymore. I know it's not up anymore. It used to be called cdrecyclingcenter.org to find one in your community that would take these materials. But that Earth 911 site that I linked earlier, I think they have a link that show you places that you can go to recycle those type of things. Honestly, I always thought you could just put plastic with plastic until I started learning about it. Apparently you can't. So
each plastic is different.
Why are there so many plastics?
Why is it spicy?
And honestly, I feel like things like bamboo and hemp, like I feel like we shouldn't even have to really use plastic anymore. Like I've seen people use a type of wood pulp to do 6-pack carriers, but a lot of six-pack companies still do the rings. And I always cut the rings because I'm so traumatized by that turtle photo that everybody saw that had, like I said, gone through a plastic ring from a 6-pack of soda. And then his waist was just like pinched. So I prefer not to use them, but I do cut them if I do. But I feel like I remember I used to work at this shop that sold a lot of like hippie things. And we had these cards that were made out of a grass that grew in Africa. It was very sustainable, like bamboo. Bamboo's a grass. And it's called Tree-Free Greetings. And I don't understand why we haven't transitioned our whole lumber, I don't know, paper thing into stuff like that. That works perfectly well for paper. That's a grass. Yeah, it's money. Or hemp. But again, it's the logging industry.
Yep.
They make all that money. So.
And it's to me, it's my thinking would be take some of the profit, or your not even the profit because that's taboo. Take some of your R&D money and start investing in that, and then do a transition. Mm-hmm. Still be in that same company.
Yeah.
But then they would have to fire a lot of people because you're not lumbering. Blah, blah, blah.
Pivot Explorer says older homes used to have gas incinerators in the basement that burn the garbage. Yeah, we always burned outside on the farm. I remember my grandparents doing that. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. A burn pile. We actually have a burn barrel. Burn barrels are still pretty common. We do it for like old wood or something. And we actually did a bunch of burning last month. We tore down an old chicken coop and burned a lot of it. Mm-hmm. We left the nails in it, but then we used a magnet to pick all of that up because we planned to move the chickens where the burn pile was. So.
That was so much easier, by the way. If you ever think about that, instead of trying to pull all the metal off and if it's wood, just burn it.
Burn it and then use a magnet.
And then use a magnet, take all of it up.
Yeah, that's what we did. It works pretty well. So yeah, for us, we're trying to. There's a couple books I got, and Yellow Rose Homestead bought me 2 of them, and it's a series called Zero Waste Home. It's like another one of those, I don't want to call it a fad, but it's a concept that someone developed about how much can you avoid throwing away. And I used to watch this video of this woman that like developed this concept, and she would throw her entire year of trash would fit into like a sandwich, a Ziploc bag. And I was like, there's no freaking way. Like there's no.
And I'll tell you this. We did the glass jar with the meat. You remember that?
Yeah.
And the amount of weird looks people give you.
Yeah. So, yeah, one of the things that she did in this video, and I didn't think to get the video ahead, I'm not going to look for it now, was instead of going to the meat counter at the grocery store and just asking for a pound of meat, they put it in a little plastic, you take it home. Is she would bring her own jar. And they did it. They took our jar, and I said, I just want a pound of bologna or whatever in this jar. And they looked at me weird. And I was like, just weigh it out to zero tar or whatever you got to do. And, they did it and it worked fine. The issue we ran out to with that is, how do I say this without sounding like a jerk? My dad is not always the cleanest person in terms of doesn't always wash his hands, is always out fiddling with stuff. For all I know, he could have chicken poop on his hands and that kind of stuff. And I was watching him dig his hand in this jar and I was like, that's not going to work for me right now. Maybe later on we'll do that at some point where it's just Donald and I, but it did work. And I did actually enjoy taking my jar to the counter and having them put meat in it. But that was one way she reduced her plastic. She made a lot of her own stuff. She would bring like a burlap bag. If she would go to these stores like a Whole Foods that you could just get a whole big bag of rice. Like, those candy dispensers in the grocery store, you hit the lever and it all falls into a bag. Like, you bring your own bag and do that. I was like, well, that's actually kind of brilliant. So what did she say? We burn most of our paper and take the rest to my work trash bin. I mean, anyone at the office, so no one cares. Yeah, Donald might actually have to take some of our trash to his work this week because our trash company did not come, and I don't know why. And hey, How to Garden, welcome. Farmer Brad says, burn barrel saves so much trash out of landfill. Yes, it does. The art of the burn barrel, I feel like, is lost. I guess you can't do it as much in suburban neighborhoods when you have like the fire bans or whatever.
It's a couple of things because now there's so much polyplastic.
Yeah.
That you can't burn. What do I mean phrase that? It'll burn, but you shouldn't burn it.
Yeah.
So that's one. It's not one of the burn bans. Also comes from not the fact that it's just dry. It's they don't want plastic being burned.
Yeah. Well, I don't really want plastic.
Now, of course, for me, I'm like, so would you rather put it in the landfill? You don't want, clearly you're environmental conscious if you're saying you don't want chemicals being burned into the air, but you're not offering a solution or an alternative from landfills, which is worse. So
Farmer Brad thinks exactly like I do. This plastic kitchen storage device, and it's not just that they break so much, but they're kind of gross. Your food tastes gross. They stain. We switched to 2 different materials. We have the glass ones with the lids that clip on. And then we also have, what was that? It's not rubber. Silicone. And I used to, actually, let me see if I can find the link real quick. I used to subscribe to this thing called Mighty Nest. And it's like one of those monthly subscription boxes, but it was only $10 a month. And they would send you, I'll send you a link, 1 product a month. Oh, I typed it wrong. It's Mighty Nest, not Might Nest. Ignore that link there. This is the one. And they sent us this really cool silicone collapsible bowl with a lid. And I love that thing. Donald doesn't like it as much because the lid's not as solid to stay on.
Yeah.
Let's hope they had a picture of it on here.
Yeah, it's the only issue is with that. I mean, other than that, I like it. It's not as secure. It just sits on top.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a ridge where it's like what do you call it? Like a Ziploc.
I think I'm gonna subscribe again.
But yeah, there's no latch for it.
Yeah, and like 1 month, I was a subscriber for several months. I got like the steel straws. I got bamboo cutlery that I still have and use even here in the office. I keep it in my purse so when I go out to eat.
You had the beeswax
wraps. Actually, there's pictures of some of them here. The little glass containers. Sandwich bags.
The silicone sandwich bag.
Mm-hmm. Urban Bucket, welcome. So I really liked these guys for $10 a month. It was nice to get a new product to try that was eco-friendly. But anyway, long story short, I'm with you there on the Farmer Bread. So moving on to the next product. This is one that I think a lot of us as homesteaders would use, doing what we do with filming and everything. And that is rechargeable batteries. from your camera, from your phone, whatever you're using to film with. There's a lot of issues with recycling these. They contain toxic metals such as nickel, cadmium, lithium, and lead, which is what the issue is. So major retailers such as Home Depot and Staples usually accept these batteries, but I would call ahead and check because I don't know whether that is still valid. There's also this website, which I'm going to post here in the comment or the chat. So this website will help you find other stores that have those type of recycling programs for batteries. Batteries is definitely one that you want to recycle the right way, because imagine all the landfills, batteries that are in the landfills, how gross that is. And I didn't realize that there's a lot of people that have had house fires because they would throw a 9-volt battery in a drawer and it would touch 2 pieces of metal on the little ends of the 9-volt battery and it would spark a fire. And I never knew that. You have to store those the right way. We actually have a battery container that has all the slots for the different sizes. But my dad had one in his pocket once, and I think it had some coins in his pocket, and his pocket started to get hot. Like he was going to catch on fire in his pants. So I didn't realize any of that, but that's certainly an issue too. So what they usually do with these kind of things is they just make new batteries and different kinds of stainless steel products out of these when they are recycled. So check out that site. All kinds of battery disposal options on that website that I think would be useful. Because again, as YouTubers, I mean, we're constantly using cameras of different types. Moving on from that one. Actually, real quick, we're going to go ahead and do our quick commercial that we do because we are an affiliate with Mary's Heirloom Seeds. So I'm just going to throw that in there really quick.
As you know, it is seed buying and starting season, and we are so excited to grow with all of you, both in the garden and on YouTube. That's why we buy a lot of our seeds from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. Mary has grown her business from scratch to give us an affordable option for buying and growing our own food in the garden. She provides over 800 varieties of heirloom seeds, regular gardening tips and tricks, and the opportunity for all of us to continue supporting small businesses. So if you're ready to get down in the dirt, consider buying from our affiliate link below to order directly from Mary's Heirloom Seeds.
And we're back.
Are we back?
We are back.
Okay.
Mama Z's Texas Kitchen. I'm not sure if we're laggy, by the way, so if we are, just let me know. I'll make sure to keep an eye on the chat. So another item that I know we use, I know it was really popular for a while, I don't know if it still is the Cfls. Like, I like using the Cfls. They're supposed to last longer. I think, wasn't that the argument? They were supposed to last longer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the issue with these is they contain a small amount of mercury, which can escape when the bulbs are broken, which sucks because I did break that bulb a while back. Do you remember that?
No.
In the office, that lamp?
No.
Anyway, so stores like IKEA and the Home Depot usually have collection boxes for these. And what they usually do is they just make new bulbs out of them. That's it. I don't know whether Home Depot and Staples still takes them, so it might be worth calling them.
IKEA.
What did I say?
Staples.
Yeah, IKEA and Home Depot, sorry. But it might be worth checking Staples.
Well, I mean, Staples is the other one.
Yeah. Farmer Brad says they're rebuilding their front garden. Awesome. Yeah, the CFL phase is interesting. I think we mostly use LED now. I don't even know what's in a ring light. I don't even know. That looks like a normal lamp. So I don't know. And I don't even know what's in these recessed lights above our heads here. Honestly, I don't know. But another one that we've used recently, and I hate, this is like the number one annoyance for if you order stuff online, is these freaking foam peanuts. I hate them because they get everywhere. They stick to you. String because I bought a bottle that's just the last 5 years. It lasted 5 months. Ugh. Yeah. So foam packing material. These things are pain in the butt. They stick to your cat.
LED light, by the way. Your ring light.
Oh, okay. Isn't it interesting? Yeah. So this would be fine. LED light. So these are expanded polystyrene foam, which is manufactured from petroleum, and therefore they're highly flammable. Didn't know that. I guess if you're like in an apocalyptic scenario, you could use these to start a fire, maybe, or like fuel. I don't know. Not suggesting or recommending that at all. But
okay, real quick. Apparently, you can have ring lights be in any of the lights.
Oh, okay. So we don't know what this one is.
Yeah.
So you can check with your local UPS store for these, by the way. Or you can use that earth911.com site that I linked earlier to check your zip code to see if there's any local recyclers for these. But I imagine UPS, I imagine U-Haul, because we bought some of these from U-Haul too. So U-Haul might take them back. I know they took something of ours back. I think it was a box of unused. They may not take these. Worth calling. Call your local U-Haul store, see if they'll take them for packing. And what they usually do with recycling these is they just make new products out of this material, which I don't know what those products would be, but I hate these things. I really don't like them. I don't know why we still use them, but that's just me. And then last item I wanted to discuss, and then we could just get into general homesteading topics, was this one. Printer cartridges. Probably another thing some of us use. I know I just printed. I've been trying to print out some of the books that I have ebooks for, like the Foxfire series. But I'm realizing how much ink I'm using. So I'm like, maybe I should go to Staples and use theirs. Because I'm trying to keep physical copies of a lot of things right now, given the current economic environment. Anyway, so these cartridges usually contain like recyclable plastic, metal, rubber, foam, toner, which again is the issue with the separation. It's hard to separate all these materials. So most printer manufacturers have their own recycling program. I use HP, so I'd have to check with them and see what they have for recycling print program. But a lot of times you can also drop these off at Home Depot. But I would call ahead of time, and maybe Staples too. Call ahead of time and see if Staples will take them. I'm not sure. And they just turn them into new printer cartridges. So I assume they just empty them and refill or something. That's the only thing I can think of that you would do, because again, the separation of that kind of stuff is kind of a pain in the butt. I will highlight a couple other things. There are some big name brands that also do recycling programs that I didn't realize. Apple's one of them. If you have an old iPhone or iPad or something like that, a lot of times if it still works, they will take them back. If it works well, you might even get a gift card for sending it back. So something to consider. And then you were looking up stuff on Ford, right? Doesn't Ford do some recycling?
Yeah, Ford apparently recycles 1.2 billion bottles of water bottles, plastic water bottles. Every year. They recycle them every year for plastic parts on their cars. Which I didn't realize. Yeah.
And I don't know if they still do this or not, but I know that they used to for their Escapes and Fusions and F-150s. Would take engine part covers, were made out of Ecolon, which was a nylon resin fashioned from 100% recycled carpet. I didn't realize that. So that's kind of cool. Converse and Nike also do recycling of those shoes. Call ahead of time again, because I'm not sure if they still do it or not. And I think Pilot, the Pilot pens, they will, they're trying to develop like more refillable stuff so you don't have to keep buying pens and stuff. Just some of the bigger brands that are trying to be a little more eco-friendly as much as they can for being commercialized, I guess. So worth noting, we used to have 5 years worth up in 5 months, right? So let me take this banner off our faces real quick. But I thought those were some neat things because I never knew how to recycle some of these things. I think it's worth knowing. I know one of the things that we're trying to figure out right now, we used to have a mission that would take old computers. I don't know what they would do with them, like old hard drives, old computers. And I've got a couple old computers I'm not sure what to do with. So finding electronics recycling is kind of on my list right now to see where I would need to take it. I know our library, we have a public library. They used to have a bin for dropping off old cell phones. So I had actually wiped and then dropped off an old cell phone of mine that they would reuse and give to lower income families. Like I don't know how they would set it up, or if they'd clean it up or put new batteries in it or what, but I thought that was really neat too.
We also do metal recycling.
Metal recycling.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Metal. We recycle metal.
I don't know what you're saying right now, because I talked about metal in the very beginning.
Oh, did you?
Aluminum and steel, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about when we drop stuff off
Mhm.
in the back of the truck? Oh, okay. Yeah, what do they call those? Like junkyard, salvage yards? Yeah, we actually have a big pile of when we did burn down that old chicken coop. You have a lot of that old chicken wire. Some of it was just so like beat up. So we put that in a pile. We have an old dryer and a couple other like pipes. Like we tore down the old greenhouse that had the aluminum, I don't know if it was aluminum, steel
It was aluminum. It was
piping. So we actually have to do a run to the salvage yard and they drop that off. And they give us money for that, which is nice.
Yeah, it's based off weight.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Hat Creek Homestead, welcome. So that's another thing. If you have a lot of metal on your homestead, if you tear down a chicken coop like we did, if you got an old dryer, see if there's a salvage yard that will actually pay you a couple bucks to drop that stuff off, and then they recycle it. So that's actually a really good point. Farmer Brad says, worked at a plant where they would take expired milk and then collect it to feed to veal calves. Interesting.
So, expired milk, by the way, you can feed to your chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Just
you can
FYI,
feed that to chickens?
if you have chickens.
Pour it in your garden.
And I would rather, I think you would get a bigger benefit from your feeding your chickens.
Well, I'm saying if they don't have chickens.
Yeah. If they don't have chickens, they need to get chickens.
Mama Z just got her first chickens.
Everyone should have chickens.
Everyone. Hashtag everyone have chickens. I was trying to think of something. I had another idea of one.
You can feed them to chicks too.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
We actually give all of our scraps. We give all of our scraps that I don't save for making broth to the chickens. So when I cook up spaghetti squash or butternut squash, I'll take the seeds out after they've cooked, so I can't reuse them. I could, if I took them out beforehand, I could replant or whatever. And then the husk, I give that to the chickens. Cauliflower, the greens from cauliflowers are very bitter, so I'll give that to the chickens. Leafy greens, I don't put in my broth, so we'll give them to the chickens if they are expired or like chopped up bits. But things like celery, carrots, onions, I always freeze those, and then I just put them in the broth or in with the carcass to make broth, and then I take that whole thing, including what's left of the carcass, and feed that to the chickens so they get extra protein and they're still eating those vegetables too. That makes sense.
With the chicks, I would put the expired milk in their feed. Like have the feed soak it up.
Yeah.
Two things. One, it'll actually make the feed easier to digest for chicks. Unless you're giving them chick grit, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to digest. And then it'll cut down the dust on the chicken feed.
Yeah. And even if you don't have just chicks, if you feed, instead of using, what was that feed we used to feed the meat chickens? Even when they were bigger, it was like more powdery. It wasn't a pellet. It was
You had crumble.
like a mash or crumble.
Crumble.
We would leave their feed out in the open so it would get wet when it rained, because it would create basically more feed out of that dust. So that's like the same thing as if you pour the milk in there. Even with your adult chickens, if you use the crumble.
Yeah. By the way, I recommend not using the crumble.
So don't use the crumble, but if you do, you could pour milk.
You lose, honestly, with the crumble, you lose a lot to dust.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not sound like a lot, but it actually ends up being. I mean, you're buying a 50-pound bag, you'll probably lose 4 to 5 pounds through dust if you're not careful with it.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that Justin Rhodes did early on. I don't know if he still does it. Was he would
ferment.
People, this is a little on this. People call it fermenting. You're not actually fermenting it. You're just soaking it. Because with fermenting, you have to have the bacteria to ferment. and just any bacteria doesn't. You have to use a certain type of bacteria. So I hate saying the word ferment.
Soak.
Soak. So you're just soaking it with water. Is all you're doing.
Yeah. Closing all these recycle links. But yeah, we use a lot of chicken scraps or veggie scraps for the chickens, and then we refeed a carcass to the chickens. And actually, when we butcher our rabbits, we feed the parts that we're not using, like the shoulders and any extra skin, to the chickens as well for extra protein, because again, they're omnivores. They'll
not eat whatever they can
herbivores.
get. Chickens will catch mice and eat mice.
Find roadkill, feed it to chickens or pigs, but probably chickens.
Probably pigs more.
Well, yeah, I mean,
chickens will eat anything.
Yeah.
I worry laying down next to my chickens.
they already try to peck you when you're walking through.
You've seen them. And then they've actually bloodied my legs before.
Yeah.
For pecking my legs so hard.
Someone needs to write a horror script that's the Night of the Chickens or something. Where
Like Night of the Lupine?
They eat people alive. But yeah, we try to find ways to reuse as much as possible and not waste as much as possible. There are certain things, packaging for certain foods, that we can't really help. Like even growing our own meat, like as homesteaders, most of us butcher a bunch at once. So we have to store them, and we always store them in something plastic. Whereas back in the day, if you needed to butcher a chicken for dinner, you just butchered that one chicken for dinner. They didn't have to store it the way that we store it. So I guess that's one thing. If we really wanted to get hardcore about no waste, is we butcher when we need it, but then we gotta feed them.
That's what great grandma would do when we would go to visit. That she would ask us. Of course, she's passed now. Then she was the one that had the 99 acres.
Yeah. By the way, Urban Bucket says you look great. So
I know,
keep up the good work.
But she would ask, "You guys hungry?" I think I was 9 or 10, and we were like, "Yeah." She's okay. We'll have chicken. And then she would go out to her barn, grab a rooster, walking back. She would wring his neck, and then that's she made dinner.
Mm-hmm. How much weight have you lost now, by the way? Like 20 pounds?
20, yeah, almost 20, 24.
Lost 3.
I'm on a plateau right now of just sitting there, but I'm doing a lot more strength gaining, strength stuff. So I think it's kind of staying the weight, switching it up. But I'm also, like I said, I've lost.
He does look good.
3 belt sizes. Well, no, I won't say belt sizes. 3 belt notches. 3 belt notches. And a shirt size. So.
Yeah, we're trying to kick it into high gear. We didn't do as well like this last week, but we're back. Like, there's going to be days where you're going to have off days. And if you kick yourself and defeat yourself because of one bad day, it's like, what's the point? So, we're all going to have bad days. We're all going to have cheat days. So you may as well just enjoy it and then suck it up and get back on tomorrow. And that's what we're going to do.
Yep. I can't use Franklin as a
plate holder anymore. Like when we're sitting down, Franklin being his belly, he would set his plate on that, and he can't do that anymore.
Yeah. So it's a good sign.
I, on the other hand, with Esther, my belly could have a smorgasbord. So that's where we're at. But we're doing good. And we actually, we all got Fitbits now. And Mama Z's got a Fitbit. Jason over at Big Bear's got a Fitbit. Deanna at Natural NC's got a Fitbit. We're all in the same group on the Fitbit app. And so we're all like Jason. Yeah, Jason. Well, they're invited, whether or not they've joined yet. I know Jason has. Jason and Donald are in a competition now because they started at exactly the same weight. And I think you guys are almost the same height, right?
No, we didn't start at the same weight.
What, he started at like, well, I don't want to say his weight because I don't know if he's public about it.
He was we both lost the same amount. I'll say that. We both lost the same amount.
And you both want to get to the same goal, right?
Yes.
So, but then Jason and the kids and all them got COVID. So I don't know whether that worked to his advantage or not, but yeah, we're all on this homesteading advice and we're all really motivated. We're all doing really good this year. So I think having that community that is trying to lose this weight together is really good. And I'm really looking forward to that camaraderie. So yeah, Teresa, it can be like yesterday we went to the next county over to get groceries because that's where the Aldi is. And Aldi is my favorite store because everything's so cheap. But when we were there, we were both really hungry. So what we did is we got Five Guys. Hands down my favorite burger. That said, we also did not eat breakfast. So when I calculated up all of the calories of the Five Guys, it counted for 2 meals. So I was still within my calorie budget, which I'm trying to do like 1,500 calories a day or less. When I had lost a lot of weight years ago, I was sticking to 500 to 900 calories a day, and that was not healthy. So I'm trying to be a little bit more healthy about it this time, between 1,000 and 1,500. And then I'm trying to work out 4 days a week. I did not work out today. I did work out yesterday. I'll probably work out tomorrow. But I'm just doing what I can. And I'm noticing it's easier because when we went to get a truckload of hay today, there's been times where I'm like throwing these hay bales in the back of the truck and I'll get winded. But today it was actually pretty good. So I can tell it's working. But I would like it to work faster. Strength is I had fit, but I quit because the days I work are people. Honestly, me too. He gets the 12,000 steps during the weekday. On weekends, he's still more than me on the weekends and weekdays. Because I work from home. And when it's cold out and it's muddy out.
You work from home and you're on the work on the computer.
And I work on the computer. But when it's cold out or muddy out, I'm not going to go do laps around my fields in my yard. Like, that's not going to happen. But I have a treadmill in the basement. I've got a mat for yoga in here, kettlebells in here, and some resistance bands in here. So I can do stuff. It's not going to count for steps, really. So you have to also think of it as not everything's going to be a step either. Like, yeah, I might do 3,000 or 4,000 steps in a day, if that. But if I'm sitting here doing yoga or lifting weights or something, that's still a workout. And I'm still eating well. So yeah, Donald gets most of his workouts or his walking done at work, walking around the plant and stuff.
And this coming week is going to be the big ones too, because I'm at the plant.
Yeah, so and that's another thing him and Jason are doing is they're competing on steps.
Yeah. So with working at the plant, and when I say at the plant, we have 3 different jobs that the operators rotate. One person runs the plant for a week. Another person runs our lift stations, our pump stations throughout the city. And another person runs our satellite, smaller plant, Hunterstown. And those require a lot of driving. So you do a lot of driving, do some stuff, and then you come back. And then you're doing whatever project. You got to replace this pump or fix this pump or whatever. Person at the plant is doing all the lab samples and all that. So they are walking around a lot, grabbing samples. I will probably average 16,000 to 17,000 steps a day when I'm working on the plant, which is this coming week.
Yeah. So he's going to have a good week. I need to figure out ways to get more steps in here at the house because, one, we don't have a very big property. I could do laps, and today was gorgeous. I think today it got up to 73 degrees, which is unheard of. I think you said it was the highest it's been since the 1940s on this day, which kind of concerns me.
Yeah, from what I'm told, today is the hottest day since 1949.
On this day. Because I feel like that means we're going to have a really miserable summer. So be prepared for that, by the way, guys. If it is intensely hot, how are you keeping your gardens watered? How are you sustaining, water if you have a well that's shallow like we do, like that kind of stuff. It's going to be something we all have to think about.
Some quick tips. Keeping your gardens watered.
Oh, God.
Quick tips. 1, make sure you have a lot of organic matter in your garden soil. Make sure your root system is deep.
Deep, deep.
Deep, deep, deep. How do you make sure your root system is deep?
Let shit grow.
You let shit grow. Or stuff. Whoops. You don't cut anything down and keep cutting it down. If you're going to cut anything, let it regrow, let it recuperate fully before you do anything else again. Wood chips or mulch. Make sure the bare soil's covered. And not just a little bit. Like you want a couple of inches. The more you have cover, the more temperature it's going to regulate and not skyrocket. And the more moisture it's going to keep from being evaporated. And the more moisture it's going to hold.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to survive a drought longer.
Should do a video on this for this spring.
Yeah.
We'll do a video on this spring. Donald owes you some videos anyway.
I'm bad about it.
And I do remind him, by the way.
And so here's another thing real quick. God, you got me geeking out now. When you like say for instance lawn care, when you cut your yard, if you cut too short, one thing that happens, so like you know how you got blades of grass and they kind of bellow out, right? They kind of arch over. If you cut them too short, they're not going to arch over. They're not tall enough. Blades of grass aren't actually that close together. The actual root, the stems aren't that close together. So when you look down on top, you're going to see a lot of bare grass or bare ground if you cut them too short. The blades of grass are meant to overlap each other and crisscross and keep the rain. When the rain hits, it's supposed to protect the ground from the rain, from the impact. But it's also keeping things from going up. So keep the moisture in, keeping the temperature regulated. I can talk all day on this stuff.
So Urban Becca does have a good point, using eco-friendly dish soap so that you can reuse it on the gardens, which is very important as well. I did almost forget to do our channel shout out though, if one of my mods can grab the link. This is someone that recently commented on our videos, and it's a newer, well, not newer, but it's a smaller channel called Red Road Homestead. And they recently commented on one of our videos. We really like to share that love to shout out channels that have interacted with us recently.
Real quick, is this a biddy?
A biddy?
The link, or do I need to go to that?
You probably need to go to that channel and then post the link. Yeah, I forgot to do the bit.ly. Bit.ly, that's what you were saying. Yes.
What did I say?
Biddy.
Biddy. Is it a biddy?
Yeah. So check them out. Share the love. Help support other homesteaders that are just trying to make a living, and share their knowledge on the channel. Also, to highlight, for those of you that might have missed it before, we did launch a merch store. And our Inner Yard members, which are our second tier members, do get 20% off all of our Copper Kettle Farms merch, such as Farming Starts Here, our microbes, our Nature's Alchemists, and even a backpack if you're so inclined. And also, if you are a third tier member, you get 20% off your own merch, because we recently launched our own merch store on Homesteaders Hub. I still have to hook up the payment system, but you can upload your own graphic, download your own, or purchase your own products and have it shipped to you. So whatever products I'm able to do that on will be for sale on homesteadershub.com. If someone could post that link below as well.
That link, by the way, is not working.
Do I need to look her up real quick?
Yes.
Let me do that. Sorry, I want to make sure she gets her link up. So this is her. So this link here, the Red Road Warriors, apparently. She's got over 1,000 subs, but again, another cool homesteader to check out. She doesn't have a whole lot of videos yet. Well, she has some videos. She has more than I think, more than I thought. I didn't scroll through her old thing. So definitely check her out. She recently interacted with us, so I wanted to give her some support. Samantha Lee, welcome. I miss her. That's my musician friend who's got the lovely voice. So I actually met her on a live by random chance. So anyway, guys, that about wraps up our live for tonight. I hope you guys learned some stuff. I mean, we went over some really good recycling tips and everything. And I don't know, I don't know whether we'll actually turn this into a video, but if you are like me and you do care about your land that you're using and also reusing stuff and not putting stuff to waste, then I think we had some good tips and ways to find information and understanding how these products are then turned into other cool things when recycled. So, but yes, thank you guys so much. And we will see you next Sunday, same bat time and same bat channel. Peace.
Peace.